Welcome to Aquarian Diary, where we discuss issues around the emerging Age of Aquarius. I'm your host, John Irving. Thank you for joining me. Greetings all. It is October 3rd, 2022. All of this psychic phenomenon that we are witnessing, I know that many of you who are listening to me also listen to readers and psychics and intuitives on this platform and elsewhere. I just want to point out that that is a manifestation of this ascension that many people have been talking about, predicting, speculating about, and so on. We are moving from an age, the Piscean age, where the boundaries were physical and three-dimensional. Height, width, depth, 3 dimensions. And the fourth dimension, or the fifth dimension, to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what the fifth dimension is. I can conceive of the fourth dimension, but I'm not sure what the fifth dimension would be. But anyway, let's say that this is a manifestation of the fourth dimension. And what these psychic phenomena do is they demonstrate that we are not limited to the boundaries of three-dimensional time and space. Somebody can speak with somebody who's disincarnate. Some people can connect with beings who aren't even in our galaxy, transcending time and space. Some people can communicate with beings in other times and places. All of these phenomenon, if they're valid, demonstrate that we are not limited to 3 dimensions. Now, I myself have had experiences of a psychic nature since I was a child, and I have encountered others who discussed openly such things, not with everybody, but at least with people like me, when I was a young adult, and throughout my life at various times. I have had quite a few friends and people in my social circle who were psychic and would discuss things openly, but often they wouldn't do it in public. They would only discuss these kinds of things with people that they knew were of like mind, because otherwise they would be perceived as being crazy, right? If you go back far enough, these people were literally persecuted or believed to be possessed, because, what do you need the church for if you can connect to spirit directly? So they might kill or torture you to death. Very nice. And so, one had to be careful about who you talked about these kinds of things with. But now, as many of you know, there are people going on YouTube all the time, and some of them have thousands of followers, and this is an entirely new phenomenon. I was very involved in the whole New Age movement back in the 1980s because I was publishing a regional magazine in Atlantic Canada on the topic. And so I interacted with many people in the region who were interested in those kinds of things, from holistic health to meditation to psychic phenomenon and whatnot. And so it started to come out more popularly back then. And then it kind of took a hiatus again for a while. And then it started to come back out again, I guess, after the turn of the century. But what we're experiencing now is completely unprecedented, I would suggest, in modern history. We're not talking about select groups of people who are really into esoteric things. We're talking about this starting to reach out on a mass level. For example, astrology has taken off in recent years. It's kind of a big phenomenon, but that was an exclusive and small group of people who were into that years ago and decades ago. It was not very commonplace. So I'm just trying to make the point that, because many of us wonder, well, when is this shift going to occur? And I'm arguing that it is already occurring. As I talked about in an episode a long time ago, when I was talking about the Aquarian age, I'm arguing that it's already happening. We're at the early stages, but it's actually already occurring. And I think if we just objectively look at what is taking place, it's hard to dispute that. Just like I argue that it's hard to dispute that the U.S. is going through its Pluto return, because if you look at what's happening in the United States right now, it is completely off the walls, bonkers, batshit crazy. relative to many years of history. The country and the viability of democracy is literally at stake, almost by a razor's edge. I mean, you couldn't make this kind of stuff up, right? So, same thing with all this psychic phenomenon. This is symptomatic of the early stages of this shift into the Age of Aquarius. And this shift into 4D, we can at least state that that is factually accurate. Like I said, because we are more widely experiencing phenomenon that defy the laws of physics as we understand them. How is it possible, if it's indeed valid, how is it possible that someone can communicate with a being in a distant galaxy in real time, or with someone from another time and place in real time, etc., etc.? And it's not just the fact that that's occurring, it's the fact that that's occurring on a much broader scale than has ever occurred before, at least in modern recorded history. So that's it. I just want to make the point that what's occurring now is very extraordinary and actually incredible. There are phenomenally significant implications of all of this. Like, for example, if people can actually read what other people are thinking and planning and doing, bypassing all the normal channels, like what they've actually said or expressed or posted on social media or said in public or told to other people or whatever, that defies all kinds of laws that have been in quote unquote in place for decades, if not centuries. And what does that mean for society? If, for example, we can say, oh, the president's actually a crook, you know, or this person in power is actually engaged in criminal activity. This has insanely significant implications for even national security. I mean, if you think it through. And, you know, you could stop that. I guess you could go and wipe out all of those people, but I don't think that's practical because there's just too many people now who are expressing those kinds of gifts and abilities. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. If you're a liar or a cheat or a criminal or a fraud, you're screwed. Well, too bad. You're a liar and a cheat anyway. Now, you and I, and if you're listening to this, you probably accept that this is valid because you've had personal experiences yourself that validate this, or you just have some deep kind of knowing about these sorts of things. But there are still many people in the general public who at least haven't publicly admitted to the reality of these phenomenon. I would argue that this is probably one of the biggest things that has occurred, I don't know, in a couple thousand years. And that at some point, this is going to be taken seriously or looked at very seriously. And the implications, like I said, are incredibly shocking. Now, our spirit guides aren't idiots, so they're probably not doing this unless they feel it would be in our highest good. They certainly probably wouldn't put us at risk or at jeopardy of harm knowingly. And so on some level, there is a degree of potential or opportunity or lack of risk inherent in this. Otherwise, they wouldn't be engaged the way they are. And that is really cool. That's really amazing, actually, that we can get on here and talk about these kinds of things publicly without being locked up or killed. But like I said, think through the implications of all of this. Could be corporate, could be political, could be intelligence agencies, could be the press, the legal system, law enforcement, polluters, dark money, political candidates. I mean, the implications are completely mind-boggling. Like, this is the kind of stuff I think about. I haven't heard anybody talk about this before, so here I am. But I think about this stuff constantly. I mean, this is why I spend so much time reading and thinking and meditating. I do my spiritual practice every day, and stuff just comes to me as well on that level, which is really cool, and I'm very grateful for that. But have you actually thought through the implications of all of this? I have touched in the past on the ethics of this, and that's a whole separate question, and that's for each person to address for themselves. Personally, I feel there are certain things where informed consent should be granted. I just have my own code of ethics, and it may be different for other people. But nonetheless, nothing is hidden anymore, potentially. Nothing. Everything is available and accessible on some level. The truth can be and will be known, and it doesn't matter. All of those stupid protocols and all of those methods that people used to have in the past for keeping secrets are completely blown out of the water and irrelevant and defunct. That has absolutely astonishing implications for society, for history, for the world. We can even now go back into the past and find out things that were unavailable to us at the time or inaccessible to us at the time. History itself could be and probably will be rewritten. I would argue, like I said, that this is probably one of the most significant developments in modern human history, and possibly even for thousands of years. You know, we all kind of have a sense or speculate that there were elite groups of people who were involved in these kinds of things centuries, if not millennia ago. But they weren't readily accessible to the general public necessarily. And that's what's different now because we have social media and we have the internet, which again, I've argued is part of the Age of Aquarius, this global connectivity. So anyway, I'm just putting this out there for you to think about the absolutely mind-boggling and mind-blowing implications of what is occurring here. How long will it take for this to become more broadly and generally recognized by the greater public? I would suggest that it'll probably occur while Pluto is in Aquarius between March of 2023 and 2044. Like, honestly, this is one of the most significant and important periods in all of human history. I wish I could be here for a couple hundred more years. That would be really cool. But I'll leave it at that. It's really mind-blowing. Thanks for all your support. I will show on a screen here how you can access my community tab where I post links that I find really interesting. I also suggest that people subscribe to me in your podcasting app, just kind of as a backup. You don't have to listen to it. I'll try and link to that in my episode description. But if you search for Aquarian Diary in your podcasting app, you should be able to find me. If you can't, let me know, please. And I will also show an image of how you can join my contact list in case we get disconnected from this platform somehow, some way, sometime, someday. All the best. Take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.